The Wedding Cake Model of Criminal Justice by Samuel Walker. When you think of crime in America, what comes to mind? A high-profile murder trial? A police chase on the news? Or maybe something closer to home, like a petty theft or a court hearing that barely made the papers? The truth is, most people think they understand how the criminal justice system works, but what they understand is only one small slice of it. There's a model, shaped like a wedding cake, that helps explain how justice is really served. It's not about frosting or flowers. It's about how the system quietly sorts cases into layers, based not just on what happened, but who it happened to, how visible it is, and what kind of resources the system is willing to spend. This is the wedding cake model of criminal justice, proposed by scholar Samuel Walker. And like a real cake, it looks nice from the outside, but once you slice in, the layers tell a more complicated story. At the very top are the celebrated cases. These are rare. They involve famous defendants, sensational crimes, or massive media attention. Think O.J. Simpson, Karen Reed, or even Casey Anthony. In these cases, every procedural rule is followed to the letter, not necessarily because the system is that careful every time, but because the spotlight demands it. Cameras roll, public pressure mounts, and suddenly the courtroom is a stage. Here, defendants usually have top-tier legal representation. Prosecutors tread carefully, judges become household names, and the public mistakenly assumes, this is how justice works for everyone. But it's not. Beneath the glamour sits Layer 2, the serious felonies. These are robberies, homicides, cases involving strangers, weapons, or significant harm. Here, the system is still operating in, by the book, mode, but resources start to dwindle. Most of these cases don't go to trial. Many end in plea bargains. The accused may be held pre-trial if they can't afford bail. Public defenders may be overwhelmed with caseloads. Even though these crimes are serious, the treatment starts to vary based on extra-legal factors, such as class and resources. If the victim is seen as sympathetic, the case is pushed harder. If the defendant can afford a private attorney, they often walk away with less time. This layer reminds us, the law may be equal in principle, but not always in practice. Layer 3 is where the system becomes more mechanical. These are lesser felonies, think burglary without violence, simple drug possession, or low-level assaults. Here, prosecutors are looking to move the docket. Pleas are offered quickly, evidence is often thin, and many defendants plead guilty just to avoid sitting in jail for months awaiting trial. Justice becomes a negotiation, not a question of guilt or innocence, but what deal can be made today to move the case forward. If you're poor, lack resources, or mentally ill, this is often where your case lands, and the outcome isn't about what's right. It's about what's efficient. At the bottom is Layer 4, the basement of the system. Misdemeanors, infractions, and petty offenses. Think shoplifting, loitering, minor drug charges, or public disorder. These make up the vast majority of cases. Thousands churn through each day in courtrooms across the country. Many don't understand their rights, and yet they pled guilty to go home, to avoid jail, to get it over with. It's mass adjudication, in and out, one after another. This layer is also where we see the strongest link between the justice system and poverty. A missed court date here can lead to a warrant, a suspended license, a fine you can't pay, and that fine can snowball into jail time. This is where the cycle of criminalization starts, and for many, where it never ends. The wedding cake model doesn't just describe types of crimes. It reveals a system of triage, where justice is rationed based on visibility, seriousness, and social status. And it raises a hard question. Should the law be applied differently based on media attention, wealth, or time constraints? Because while the top tier is all about due process, the bottom layers are about speed, volume, and cost-cutting. The model reminds us that justice is not always about truth. It's about management. And unless we understand how these layers operate, and who gets sorted where, we'll keep mistaking the system we see on TV for the one that most people actually experience.